Do you need to do repairs on your home, but need money in order to complete those repairs? And maybe you've been approached by a shared equity company that says, hey, we'll give you the money for those repairs in exchange for a portion of the profits when you sell the property. Oh, in 10 years, 30 years, whatever it takes, we'll wait around. Well, as much as enticing as that sounds, that might not be the best course of action for you. And that's what we're going to discuss today. Shared equity, and equity access companies. My name is Alexis Hart McDowell, and I am a real estate and business attorney located here in Chicago. And this is one of the new things that has crossed my desk recently that I wanted to speak to you all about and how they particularly can affect Black and Brown communities. So, what is an equity access or a shared access company? It's a company backed by investors who will come in and provide you with an alternative form of financing to do renovations on your primary residence. Okay. Now, you may say, Alexis, why would someone use a company like that? Why wouldn't they just go to a bank? There's various reasons. Perhaps your debt to income ratio is too high. Perhaps you don't qualify as far as credit score is concerned. Perhaps that you don't have a job, so you're not able to prove income. So there's various reasons why people would use this company, but those reasons sometimes don't outweigh the financial implications that will happen to you if you move forward. So these people will, for example, if you have to get your roof done or back porch fixed, those can be significant financial repairs, right? $60,000, $70,000. And a lot of times, some banks won't do loans that low. Other banks will say you just don't qualify for those types of loans, right? So this equity access company will say, hey, we'll give you the 50, 60, $70,000, but we're going to have a partnership. They love to throw that word partnership around, but they are the ones who definitely benefit, and the homeowner catches the short end of the stick. So we're going to partner. I'll give you the $60,000, and then I will take a portion of your equity when you sell the house, right? Now, you may be thinking, oh, that's a great deal. I don't have to pay anything back right now. And then they'll just get a little piece of the equity, right? You would think that the equity would correspond to the dollar amount that they provided to you plus a little premium, right? If they gave you $60,000, maybe they're going to get 65, 68, or even $70,000 back when you sell a property. That is not the case. Okay. So, number one, they will take anywhere from 60 to 70 and maybe even more percent of the equity in your home. Yes. In this particular example, the people that contacted me, they literally got like $60,000 from the shared equity company to do some repairs on their home. In return, the equity company took 60% of their equity when they went to sell the house. That was approximately $175,000. So do you think that it's a good idea to take $60,000 and have to give someone $175,000? Okay. And remind you, it's just over the short term. Typically, these deals run about 10 years. Yes, they'll advertise 30 years or whatever, but they're typically 10 years. Now, by the time you've gotten to this point, you've lived in your house for quite some time. You've helped to build up that equity. You've helped to build up the community. You've helped to keep your house together, and you just need some assistance at this point. They come in after you've done all of this and give you 60,000, but then take $175,000 of the equity that they had nothing to do with. Remember all the years that you were in your house before and all the years that you're going to be in your house after you make those repairs. So 60 to 70% or even more of the equity is what they're going to take from you. So you've lived in this house, you've invested it, and when you sell, you walk away with 30 to 40% of the money that you invested in this house. So that's beware red flag number one. Okay. Number two is once you enter into an agreement with a company like this, they will put a lien on your title, typically a mortgage, and it will limit the amount of debt that you can acquire, right? So if you think, oh, Alexis, I will just take out a loan and pay them off. right? Mm. They have language in their agreement against that. So they'll limit the amount of debt that you can take. Because remember, they know what they're doing. They want the $175,000. They don't want you to pay them back 60 grand. There's no 60, and then X amount of interest every year. No, it's not that type of deal. It is, I gave you 60, you're going to give me 175. And they put in there the minimum amount that they will take. And in this particular case, it was 175,000. And they'll take the greater of these two of the two numbers, meaning the agreed upon amount, which is 175,000, or 70% of the then appraised value in 10 years. So there's a potential for them to get even more money out of you. And in the way properties have been appraising over these last couple of years has been dramatic. People have been getting a lot of appreciation in their homes. And now they're at risk of losing that if they enter into an agreement with one of these types of companies. Okay. So that's red flag number 2. Beware that they will limit the amount of debt that you can get on this property. You can't refinance them out unless you have a whole lot of equity in there and you're willing to pay them the $175,000 for the $60,000 that they gave you. The third thing that you need to be mindful of is that you still have to maintain this home. You can't get the money and then not do the repairs. Okay. You have to do those repairs. You still have to maintain your home for however long you plan on living there, because they feel as though they've invested. They're your partner now, and you can't let this home get run down. So they fully expect you to take care of all the expenses and all the costs outside of what they gave you for the maintenance of this home going forward. Right. And what they will do is, if you fail to take care of the home, they will say, hey, it's about $70,000 worth of work that needs to be done, but that translates into $100,000 worth of equity that could have been added to this deal had you done that work or kept up with the maintenance of this house. So we're going to say the house is valued at that $100,000 more mark. So for example, if your house is worth $200,000 and you took this loan out with them, they're expecting a certain amount back, right? And you didn't do the repairs and the house started getting dilapidated, and they're going to say, oh, well, had you done the repairs that you were supposed to do, this house would have appraised for $300,000. So now we're going to say the value is $300,000, and you're going to give us 70% of $300,000, not 70% of what the current value of the house is, because you didn't do the repairs. So be mindful of that as well. It's called a deferred maintenance addendum that you need to be mindful of. So I hope you all are getting a glimpse into these types of companies. And I want to make my community aware, because you could be on the short end of the stick with this, right? Again, you're getting $60,000 to do renovations, but you got to give somebody $175,000 or 70% of the equity in your home, 60 to 70%. That's just not a good idea. It's a better time to just slow down. Let's fix your credit. Let's save money, take on another job, get the savings updated, whatever needs to be done, so that you can then qualify for appropriate financing, where you can just pay an interest and pay a payment and pay that off, but then keep all the equity in your home and receive the return on the long-term investment of your home. Okay. Now, typically how they work is that the appraisal has to be lower value. And this is kind of a trigger for me, because appraisals in Black and brown communities are typically lower just because they're in a Black and brown community. And so when the appraisal value is lower, undervalued, when they go to reappraise it down the line and it's done appropriately, they're realizing the actual equity in your home that you should have gotten at the first appraisal, right? So typically that first appraisal will come in low or lower, and then that second appraisal, when it's time to sell or cash out, is going to come in high, and they're going to take advantage and realize all of that additional equity in your house that you should have had. That the only reason why you're not getting this due to an unfair and biased appraisal. Okay. And so essentially that's just capitalizing on a horrific value and things that happen in the Black and Brown community that happen to us in our homes more often than not. Okay. And then additionally, you have to be owner occupied. So you can't just move out and then rent that house and then never feel like you're never going to pay them. That doesn't work either. You're saying as part of your agreement that you're going to remain an owner occupant, and you have to sign a no renting without express approval. So some people think I'll move out and I'll just rent it. Well, you can't, because there's a condition in there that says no renting without express approval from the investor as well, or the company. So I just wanted to bring you these tidbits, bring you some information about these equity access or shared equity companies, and give you some more information about why they probably do not serve you in the long term, right? If you plan on staying in your home a while, you want to realize that equity to build your own wealth, to get pass on to your children. And if you enter into an agreement with one of these companies, 60 to 70% is wiped out just like that, just like that, just upon signing. Okay. And they gave you a minimal amount of money to do repairs, but are going to take so much more from you. Personally, I think it consists of predatory lending. I think that it's exorbitant. And I do hope that these types of companies are investigated. They do exist across the country. And you just need to be aware of it, that if you need money and you don't qualify, that you probably want to pursue a different direction or a different avenue other than these shared equity or equity access companies. All right. Because it can definitely hurt you in the long run. All right. So I'm attorney Alexis Hart McDowell. It has been a pleasure to speak with you this afternoon. Jump on my newsletter, my Buildings and Business newsletter. We talk about all things real estate and entrepreneurship. That's at enterpriseesquire.com/newsletter. And you'll be updated and receive reminders on when I do lives like this. All right. You can feel free to book a consultation with me. I'm at enterpriseesquire.com/calendar. If you're buying, selling, or investing in property, need a deed transfer, reach out to me. I'm here to assist. All right. Thank you so much and have a wonderful week.